Good morning, everybody. You're very, very welcome to the NCSE conference. Lovely to be here this morning. Welcome to the annual research conference 2025. I'm Fergal Lynch, chair of the National Council for Special Education Council, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you back to what's really a key event in the calendar each year for the NCSE. Shortly, I'll be introducing Minister of State with responsibility for special education, Michael Moynihan TD. But for now, I'm pleased just to welcome him to the event and to thank him very much for his support. Just a couple of housekeeping things, if I may. Obviously, please turn your phones to silent, as always. In terms of emergency exits, they're located on my left or your right-hand side and directly in front of me, which lead out to the stands. Toilets are located in the area at the lift and also at the room serving tea and coffee up this way. So just some of the basic housekeeping things. In terms of the conference itself, delighted to say we have two major themes that we're dealing with today. The first is the benefits of practitioner-based research, and secondly, post-school pathways and transitions. And they're the two major themes. The first session is going to be chaired by our CEO, John Carney, and it focuses, as I say, on the benefits of practitioner-based research. We're going to start that session with a presentation from Professor Sarah Parsons, who is Professor of Autism and Inclusion at Southampton Education School in the University of Southampton. And her presentation is going to focus on building pathways to impact together, including the benefits and examples of close to practice research. The second half of the session then includes a brief overview of the NCSE practice-based research programme, and we'll have some specific examples of schools that take part in the pilot programme. Then there'll be an opportunity for a panel discussion with questions and answers, and I think it'll give us a very practical example of what's going on in that area. Then after the coffee break, we'll focus on post-school pathways and transitions in a session that Dr. Peter Archer, the chair of our NCSE Research Committee, will chair. And the first part of that session includes the keynote presentation by Dr. Valerie Mazzotti from Kansas University. And she will present on outcomes for youth with disabilities in the USA and the in-school predictors of positive post-school outcomes. Then the later part of that second session will focus specifically on the Irish perspective of post-school pathways and transitions. And Beth Young, who's the Associate Director of Social Policy Research at Fortia Insight, will give a presentation of the findings from an NCSE commissioned piece of work, in fact, which is the Evaluation of Comprehensive Employment Strategy Transition Pilot Programme. And then the final presentation in the session is another NCSE-funded study examining post-school transitions of students for special education needs. Dr. Eamon Carroll and KUA will deliver this. So without delaying us too long, just very briefly, it's been a very busy and productive year for the NCSE. Not going to go into any detail, just going to refer briefly to the rollout of the Education Therapy Service, which was announced by the government in June. And it involves speech and language therapists and occupational therapists working in partnership with schools and families to provide educationally relevant interventions and strategies that focus on inclusion, participation, and the well-being of all students. This is one of the most significant developments the NCSE has been involved in for many years, and we thank the Minister and Government for the resources and indeed for putting the trust in us to ask us to deliver this programme. It's the outcome of several projects that tested the implementation of a multi-tiered, school-centred model of support, and it focused on collaborative capacity building to the benefit of student learning and participation in the school. It's a hugely important and significant development. It's going to be rolled out across 3 phases. Phase 1 is already in process, which involves work in 45 schools, which started this September and extends to next August. Then phase 2 will be initiated in September 26 through to December 2027, where the remaining special schools nationally will be involved, and we'll have recruitment for therapy provision into special classes in mainstream schools. And then we hopefully finish that whole very substantial process in phase 3, which extends from January 28 to June 29, involving service delivery to special classes and mainstream classes. So a hugely significant and important set of developments for the NCSE, and one which many of our partners in the area will be very closely involved in, and we very much welcome that. Just one other thing to mention then in the research-related developments and to comment on. We're very, very pleased that the first annual Educational Research Summit is going to take place later this month on the 18th of November, here in Croke Park, in fact, in the conference centre, and it's led by the Department of Education and Youth. And I'm very pleased that the NCSE, with its focus on research, is actually going to have 3 presentations on the day from our own staff. Jennifer Doran, our head of research, is going to contribute on practice-based research, activating teacher researchers through an in-class project. Helen Walsh is looking at how the NCSE as a national agency is delivering excellence in interdisciplinary inclusive education support. And finally, our CEO, John Carney, is giving a presentation on total quality management and how that impacts special education support, focusing on the NCSE as a case study. So it's good to see the NCSE strongly involved in the research agenda, particularly in such a significant conference in the context of the Education Convention overall. So just before I hand over to the Minister, I'd like to thank the organisers of today's conference very much. They've worked very hard to put together such a strong programme. Special thanks to Dr. Peter Archer, who's chair of the NCSE Research Committee, and also to Jennifer Doran, who, as I said, heads up the research function in the NCSE with her staff. Sadly, Jennifer can't be with us today due to personal family circumstances. It's her first time in 18 years missing the conference, so our thoughts and best wishes go to Jennifer at the moment. And thanks to her, as I say, for all she's done. And also I'd like to thank very much all of the staff in the NCSE for their commitment and support throughout the year on the full agenda of the NCSE work, which is quite extensive. Led by John, they have continually demonstrated a passion and commitment to special education, and to all the pupils, for parents and pupils involved, alongside everyone with parents and their guardians. So a special thanks to all the NCSE staff. Finally, then, it's a great pleasure to introduce Minister Michael Moynihan, TD. Since his appointment earlier this year, he's demonstrated very strong support for special education, and specifically for the NCSE's work. He attended our staff conference in Athlone a few weeks ago, and I think his presence underlined his interest in and his commitment to what we're trying to achieve as an organisation. So thank you very much indeed, Minister. Great pleasure that you're here today, and I invite you to address us now. Thank you very much.